And we are live. This is right after the city council meeting. Actually, it was probably ended about an hour ago, but it took some time to process my thoughts because I have no idea what I just watched. Um, I've tried to reach out to a few counselors and I keep getting sent to voicemail. I assume they're standing in the Great Hall screaming at each other. I agreed with Ryan DeZoglio. If we can't manage to do the job, resign. And here we are. So I've made the switch to OBS, which means we can multi-stream and display pictures and do videos, but I don't know how to use any of it yet. So we're going to give it a minute. We're going to let some people come on. There is a delay now between me and what is happening in Facebook world, but that's okay. We will just be a little behind. Waiting to hear back from any of the counselors that I've reached out to see if they want to hop on. I think that would be great. But I think we can start by just kind of start by discussing where was everybody tonight. We had three counselors not there, the chair, Counselor Valley, and Counselor Santos. Um, yep, they sent Counselor Soto sent her regards through Member Pesh. That's great. Um, but if you're going to schedule a meeting, especially as the chair, why not schedule it so everyone can attend? Especially when you know something's going to fail. I mean, my theory is they set up Marzin to be the sacrificial lamb. Now, again, I've said it before. I think he's kind of the beaten puppy in the whole world here. Um, he is Soto's lapdog and has been for quite some time, especially when he was chair. He just looked like he was chained up in the front yard. We knew at the jump he wasn't going to vote yes. So why push it? Why were the three counselors gone? Was it because they didn't want to vote no? Or they wanted him to vote no, so he's the only one? Now keep in mind he's Captain No Vote when it comes to spending money. Always has been on his last term, what was it, 2 or 3 terms he did back in 2014, 15, 16, 17. Um, Remember, he was on the council when they voted for the superior officers contract, the Joe Solomon contract. I mean, people tend to forget that, and we make lots of excuses for what happened and what's going on. And apparently, we have a very short memory here in Methuen, which is rather unfortunate. Um, I am trying to get so I can see the comments, and there are no comments yet. Come on, let's talk about what we saw tonight. Uh, this meeting was called by essentially the mayor, but the mayor doesn't call meetings. The mayor needs the city council to help him with this stuff. So the city council has to agree to call the meeting. That's controlled by the chair, who wasn't there. Um, the mayor explained that he did have a bunch of. Hi, Mandy. That he did have a whole bunch of co-counsel, not co-counsel. I'm sorry, co-sponsors and Chair Valley, not Chair Valley, Member Valley or Counselor Valley was one of them. And at the last minute, she withdrew that. I can only venture to guess, but what were those conversations like? You know that there were some angry conversations between her and Soto. Soto doesn't like to be challenged. I'm sure there'll be an angry video TikTok about me tomorrow, but that's okay. Um, it's tough, but you still have Council Samad, Council McLaren, and I think it was Drew, and ended up being Drew and DeZoglio who co-sponsored this. It should have passed. Let's try and do the video share. Oh, it doesn't flip over. I wanted to try and... Oh, there we go. Look at that.
You have the roll? Sure. Counselor
So
Brewer.
I want to start at the end where...
And I'm sorry.
Ryan says probably the best thing I've ever heard come out of his mouth.
I just want to say that
I hope you guys can hear this.
We were elected by the people to do a job. And if we can't sit around and have a discussion, people should resign. That is unacceptable to me. And I'm sorry, if we can't sit at a table, if we can't have private discussions to actually move the city forward, leave office.
Counselor DeZoglio, this is a motion to adjourn discussion. So all those in favor to adjourn?
I don't know who that was aimed at. I did send Ryan a message to ask him who it was aimed at. He has not responded to me yet. You could see at the end that as Ron packs up his briefcase that he's got a very, big grin on his face. Like he feels it's directed at him. But Ryan's right. The 9 of them were elected to go do a job for the city, to make sure that we are getting things that we need and that the city is moving forward. They have not done that. And they spent, of the almost hour meeting they had tonight, they spent most of the time talking in riddles and going in circles and getting nothing accomplished. So, there was another moment. Let's see if I can find it. Where John...
With all due respect, you said that this was not a forecasting issue. This was absolutely a forecasting issue.
Damn straight
this
it was.
A failure by cutting the amount of money out of the budget last year. I understand we were trying to make things work, and then it was a failure from the council for cutting an extra $250.
Let's stop there for a second. It was a failure by the council. Who was on the council last year that made this cut? Marzin, Soto, Valley, and Pesh. They made this cut last year. Whether or not they all voted yes or no for it, I don't know off the top of my head, and I haven't gone back to look. But they made the cut knowing full well, and they could put their hand on a Bible or whatever oath-taking position they want. They all knew that this was going to happen. Nothing about this is shocking. They all knew this was by design. The plan was always to take from free cash. But now we're in a position where the budget's falling to shambles. The city's going to face massive, let's call it reorganization, restructuring, and they need to scurry to save face. And they don't want to use free cash because that's bad, and they're not necessarily wrong. But John was right. This was a forecasting issue. Stop pretending that we don't know what's going to happen when we make decisions. It's all so much of this is predictable. And to stop and look at the insinuation that he's making there, I think, is not lost. And member Pesh over here looks displeased with what he's saying in his comments. So let's let John continue.
It was absolutely a forecasting issue, and I hope that we look at this budget as it continues into this next year, and we look at every line item and don't just make frivolous cuts that are going to end up putting us right back here.
Let's talk about the frivolous cuts. They've cut trash. They level funded utilities. They cut the election budget. All money that we had to then take from free cash to put back into the budget to keep it afloat. It's because, and I had the conversation earlier, are they doing this because they want to see the city stall? What has the council done? And this is a legitimate question. What has the council done to move Methuen forward, to help make Methuen business friendly, to help make Methuen a place that young families are going to look to want to come in here? What have they done? Because they've kind of been a laughing stock for the last couple of months. Even going back to the last budget, I know that the school committee had issues with the council, and I know that it's he said, she said, but it's that I can't put my finger down and say this item right here was the council trying to move the city forward and make things better. All right. Sorry, John. Continue.
Now, the next problem is going to be we are 85% of the way through this year. There is nowhere that we're going to find $850,000 other than taking it out of free cash to pay this bill. And this
Bingo.
is a bill that's going to need to be paid.
Bingo. Ron is drawing a hard line in the sand. Whether he's doing it because that's what he believes or because that's what he was told to do is a different story. And, we can beg to differ on that. But we're 85% of the way through the problem. What are you supposed to do? They're not going to go back and take it from, where could you even take it from? You can't, what are you going to cut a service? Are we going to cut some positions? And it's $850K. You got to remember the average salary is what? Somewhere between 60 and, we're talking base, unless you hit the police department, you're looking between maybe 60, 70 and 130, 140. You're talking 8, 9 people, or maybe even closer to 10 after you have to pay for all the insurance for unemployment and everything else. It's not something we're going to be able to scrape from somewhere else. This is not a problem we can solve now. And some of that's on the CAFO and the mayor. Where were they 8 months ago? Why is this coming up now? Why are you waiting until the last minute to be like, oh crap, this is short? It should have been a conversation months ago. Like, John, I have to look at my budgets. I run my team, and I have to be able to say, hey, guys, we're a third of the way through the project, but we're only a tenth of the way into our budget. What's the holdup? Why aren't we making the purchases? Or on the other side, we're a third of the way through the project, but we're 60% of the way through our budget. What happened? And your budget should have a timeline. Who's managing and who's running it, and where is everybody? Okay, sorry, John. Go ahead.
So we can sit here and say we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But yes, we have to force enforcement. Yes, we have to grab our barrels and those fees that come with it. We have to do that in fiscal year 27. The bill is due in fiscal year 26. We need to fund it. We need to do it now. Just get this off the table. I get what we're talking about, always having to take money out of free cash. I couldn't agree more. We need to find ways to handle things long term. We need to stop with these patches and fix things structurally in this city so that we're not constantly having to go back to the well and be in a crisis mode every single year. So I'm going to support this tonight because I want this to be done. I know it's an item that needs to be taken care of, but I think we as a council need to make sure that when this budget comes in front of us for next year, we don't allow this to happen again. And
we don't allow this to happen again. Now, for the most part, I have faith in some of these counselors. I think John has shown his ability to think and properly manage a budget. I think Mike has a history on this council of being realistic and mission driven and being able to do those things. Ella has shown the ability and the right direction in her limited time on the council. Ryan, I served 2 years with, and while sometimes him and I butted heads, he's going to try to make the decision that he thinks is going to be best for people. Whether or not I would agree with him or others would, that's to each his own. I worry about the rest of the council. A lot of these folks have a history on the public body of self-serving behavior. And whether it's blatantly self-serving or, I don't know, how do you say, like a long-term play self-serving to get recycling for yourself and trash pickup or health insurance or force the sale of property or, so many things that it just have not even appeared to come across as being in the best interest of the city. So, this is in the way. All right. And they keep talking about free cash. Free cash is a stupid name for a savings account. It's not free cash. Free cash means it's unencumbered, which means it's accessible to the mayor. It's not pre-planned for a particular expenditure. Now, Ryan makes a statement about how we're always going back to the trough to get free cash.
If I had more to discuss, but the way I think this is going to turn out, I'm going to have my chance to talk on Monday.
Let's talk about that first, because I forgot about that statement. The way he thinks this is going to turn out, he'll have his chance to talk about this on Monday. They went into this knowing it was going to fail. Is that an open meeting violation? How many people were talking about it? Where was the conversation? How was it had? Why push the meeting if you know it's going to fail? I mean, it's just so unproductive and such a poor use of time.
But I do agree with Councilor Mawson on this. Just being in Methuen my entire life, free cash, it's right. It is the taxpayers' money, but it's a rainy day fund. And when people say it's a one-time expense, it always seems to be either it's this year or last year, the years prior, we have used it for this type of thing over and over again.
Yes, we've used it for this type of thing over and over again. Do you want to know why? Because we have not done a damn thing to grow this city commercially. And you can only take so much money from homeowners to fund all of the things that this city needs. For example, we have never done a comp analysis, but yet every 3 years, Methuen Police, Methuen Fire, Methuen DPW, the laborers unions, all of them, all the ones I'm forgetting, all the unaffiliated, not so much the schools until recently, they go in for collective bargaining and they go and they want their 3%. They may come out the gate and ask for 6 or 8 or God knows what, but they want all that money. And with a lot of these contracts, and the police stick to mind because we all remember what happened with the SOU, it's not just 3%. It's all of the ancillary stuff that gets compounded, then the long-term impacts of that for whether it's pensionable or not. And we have no idea if we're paying people appropriately. But yet we give these numbers and we say, okay, but nobody, the CAFO, I don't know what DJ's doing. I don't know if he's doing it, but Perry didn't. And I'm willing to bet Jajuga didn't. No one is sitting down and saying, what's the long-term impact of this? Yeah, the CAFO does an impact statement. That's great. That's cute and all. But you're growing you're growing all of our salary line items with no intention or no clear deliverable plan to grow our revenue base. Zero. None at all. The last thing that anyone has really touted was the Reebok build. And that was nothing. That's great. It brought, 20 some odd jobs. It used a building that was sitting empty. It's fantastic. They're not, I don't think that they're an active member of the community. I don't think that they're bringing in much revenue. We did lose Holy Family and a bunch of other things, and some new small shops have come in, and that's great, and that's a positive sign of growth, but that's natural attrition. That's not part of the Economic Development Office. What is the plan there? And not to put it all on Jack Wilson and his team, because they're running a department of what, like 3-4 people? Again, underfunded, understaffed, under-equipped. But what are we doing? Why is no one sitting or standing at the podium? Why has not a single counselor said, stand here and make a presentation, tell me what the plan is? How are we fixing this? How are we planning going forward?
It's now a habit. But if it comes down to a park or anything else, that gets pushed to the side because we have to pay our bills on free cash when we should be balancing our budget properly. And the tax.
But that's the problem. We aren't balancing our budget properly because we're busy trying to steal from Peter to pay Paul. We're playing the shell game on the streets of New York. We're hiding the penny underneath the hat because we want to have all of these things. We want to have all of the niceties, but we don't want Methuen to become that big place. Those costs. Yeah, I mean, Carol, this. So let's talk about snow and ice for a second, because that doesn't even get discussed here. The mayor's going to take from snow and ice. I know he did mention it during the meeting. He's got to take from free cash to cover snow and ice. But then look at the schools. They're over on snow and ice too, but they don't get to go to free cash. They have to steal from another line to balance their budget to pay for snow and ice. The city covers the overrun for snow and transfers it via the account. No one checks previous history. How often are the shortfalls reported, forecast? Who's watching the checkbook? Nobody. Nobody's watching the checkbook. I mean, they're going to tell you that, oh, it's online, you can all watch it, but we all have day jobs. Like, even, I know, Carol, you're retired at this point, but like, we all have, you have things to do too. Who's making a full-time job of keeping an eye on the city? There's so much unchecked. It's unfortunate.
Taxpayers give us taxes, yes, for these services, but they also want to make the city better. And if we keep using free cash, which as Councilor Marcian says, but this budget cycle coming up, I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like we're going to be dipping into that funds quite a bit. And then when it comes to actually trying to get things done, we're going to say we don't have the money to do it.
But we don't have the money to do it. Let's be real clear about that up front. We don't have the money to do these things. We don't have the money to redo our parks. We don't have the money to revamp green space. We don't have the money to build a new police or fire or DPW or city hall. We don't have the money to do the HVAC at city hall. We don't have the money to do these things because we have kicked the can so far down the road, because doing those things was not good business. It was not going to help people get elected. It was not going to help people continue in office. It was not going to make them popular to spend money to do things that wasn't glamorous. And here we are. So now we have a decaying infrastructure through 100% purely our own fault. And the economy is doing what the economy is doing, and things are more expensive, and there's not enough money. And despite the fact that, Massachusetts is spending like crazy, we as a community are not getting what we need, and we're not generating what we need. We're not doing a damn thing to help ourselves. So, that being said, let's go back to Ryan.
So I just want to put that on the record right now, because when we need a park or trying to do things, I want to know that if we could dip into free cash then to build something or ask the mayor to do something. And when we hear from the CAFO, oh, we don't have the funds to do it, I'm going to sit there and go, this is why I'm always a no with the free cash. Because the taxpayers, yeah, they deserve their trash to be picked up too, which we should have balanced it properly. But we should also have the ability to do other things with our money, with their money. We should be able to build parks. We should be able to fix things. But instead, we're going to sit here over the next year, and we're going to have to find our own way of doing it as counselors. So, and I'm willing to do that. I've already decided to do that. But it's very frustrating that we're sitting here tonight, and it's just, I have nothing else to say. I'm just frustrated.
Welcome to the club, Ryan. We're all a little bit frustrated. I don't even know where to go from there. It's tough when you are in the position Methuen is, and it's going to be not great, especially for the mayor, when he needs to put forth a budget. Like, why is the budget due 2 weeks early? I mean, I've got at least one confirmation from a counselor that, because at least one of them has stated to the group that they will be on vacation and it's earlier. Whether or not that's directly tied to why it's earlier, I don't know. But it's given the operation that we've seen from this group, it's reasonable to assume. There was a lot of back and forth on whether or not this was proper, whether or not this was okay to do. I'm trying to find.
We pay for April,
Correct.
so we pay the month behind. I'm just trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm trying to figure this out, Mayor, is, I mean, I think a lot of residents were concerned as though their trash was going to be not picked up like the next week, right? And unfortunately, I think a lot of their frustration was misdirected to the council. I mean, I saw things on social media.
But was the frustration misdirected to the council, Member Pesh, or was it very appropriately directed to the council? With some of it probably should have been directed to the mayor as well. Like I said earlier, the mayor and the CAFO dropped the ball. They should have been having this conversation at the end of our Q1, at the end of Q2, and at the end of Q3, and it should have been known. If this was truly a budget issue and we saw it coming and it was on the nose when it came forward, this was piss poor planning. At the same time, the council voted no. Everyone knows we have to pay our bills the same way you do at home and the same way I do at home and everyone else in the room. But the council voted no. And now what? What do we do next? Because the mayor's not going to go back and steal $850K from a different line item. Why? Because it doesn't exist. That's the reality. It's not there. And what are we going to do with that? So it was directed at the right place. You were part of the council, and as was Soto, as was Valley, as was Marsden, who voted on this last budget. The aggression and the frustration, the disappointment, and the whatever other adjectives you want to use, all appropriately directed.
Media, bring it to the council's house, do this, do that. A lot of it fell on us. And I will say, I was a yes. And I was a yes for the reasons you just stated. We have to pay our bills. I don't like taking out of free cash all the time. My yes vote did not, and I even think your request, Mayor, probably nobody wants to take out of free cash,
Sure,
right? I
right.
think we all see this as something that we need to work on, which is why I was so supportive of your proposal. My concern revolves around procedure. And I'm going.
I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been DJ. At one point, he says, and he was spot on, the general public doesn't care about procedure. And he's right. Even if this was procedurally incorrect, because there's a 1-year holding period after a vote fails before it can come back for another vote, unless it's brought back on a motion for reconsideration. But they were told here by council that it wasn't. Their attorney advised them that this was okay multiple times throughout the meeting. Also, what it comes down to is voting now to put the $850K in from free cash, or spending 3 meetings talking about it so everyone can grandstand and then voting it in as free cash. So it's a cute little party that we're having, but anyone who's paying attention has caught on to the nonsense. It's nonsense. You could have voted today to do this. Ron voted no, tanked the whole thing. All of a sudden, he's concerned about basic services. What are we supposed to do? Why are we having 3 more meetings for this?
Going around and around in my head, because obviously we have a counselor who has already agreed to potentially, to reconsider at our next meeting, which is on Monday. And I guess I'm wondering if this were never brought forward today and it were reconsidered, maybe it's not, in your eyes, the cleaner path, or I should say the quicker.
Who cares about the cleaner path and the quicker path? The question here is, can we ensure that it's a legal path? Your city solicitor says it is. Discussion over. Why make more of the same issue? All right, what does it say here? Mandy said, what can the council do to increase income? So, the council makes the rules. The council are the legislatures. They make the rules to help form the city in the way we operate. They should be looking at opportunities to revamp policy, revamp zoning, revamp, I mean, at this point, just the image of our city, because, I hate to say it, but everyone throws it around, but like Methuen is following in the footsteps of Lawrence and all of the chaos that they have over there. And we're not doing anything to improve our image, because perception is reality. Whether it's real or not, that is the reality of the people perceiving it. And there's a reason. And I actually had this conversation this morning with Nick. Nobody wants to see. Why would teachers want to come here to teach when every year we're firing teachers? Why would anybody want to come here? Like, the people who work in the city, for the most part, the people who have been here for quite a while, they're vested in this city and they want to stay, but they're not going to be here forever. Nobody is, and we need to be doing things to improve it so we can attract new people. Jill said, I saw no grandstanding. I saw pretty intelligent questions being asked. Well, we can agree to disagree, because the question was asked and answered like 4 times. It was legal. Nobody questioned it. I mean, nobody changed the question, rephrased how it was being asked, or presented different facts. It was legal. It was legal. It was legal. It was legal. Asking the same question 6 times isn't a sign of intelligence. It's a sign of insanity. I don't know. I mean, there was a lot. We won't even get into the fact that, like, at the beginning, during public participation, and they broke their own rules, which is silly, and it doesn't matter. They didn't read their little rules. I don't recall either one of the members, the folks who spoke, giving their name or address. And we can check.
Good evening. This will probably be the shortest time I've spent at this podium in my entire life.
Nope. And then we'll flip over to Linda.
Linda Susie, 10 Kirk Street,
Oh, Linda
Methuen.
did.
I'm just here tonight on.
Good on her. Because usually she doesn't, and I understand why. Everyone knows who she is. But it's, they still should be doing it. It's a tough spot. But it all for me goes back to what Ryan said, and I wish he would respond to the text. Who was it aimed at? Who does he want to resign? And who does he think is not able to have the conversations it's worth discussing? Yeah. So I know there's about a 15-second delay between what I'm saying and what's popping up. So I guess at this point, does anybody have any more questions? Do we wanna hit on anything? I mean, at this point now, we're waiting till Monday. We're gonna wait till Monday, see what happens, and then we go from there. Best case scenario, it's a 3-vote situation. The vote for reconsideration, the first read, and the second read. They could have gotten it done today, legally. But who's going to what's going to change over the next couple of days? So let's see. Anybody got anything they wanna hit on? Did I miss any of these comments in here? Well, I guess now we'll call it a day. But welcome to Methuen, I guess. It's going to be an interesting budget season. Again, I miss Methuen and have been trying to move back. Y'all scaring me. Yeah, man. There's a lot to be scared about. A lot of our woes are self-inflicted. Not to say that other communities aren't experiencing a lot of the same pain, but let's focus on. I mean, I want to say the schools, but every one of our budget issues, our departments are unmanaged, not from a leadership perspective, but from a budget perspective, where the city doesn't know how much it's paying. Like I said earlier, we've never done comp analysis, and we give raises and we give increases because they ask for it, and we fight and they fight, and someone makes a concession and you meet somewhere, hopefully towards the middle, but we just give them. We have no idea, no benchmarking, no idea how we're building a budget. And then we're making a plan for 3 years out, at which point we should be planning how are we going to fund this for the next 3 years. But we don't. We never have. You should be scared. It's a lack of leadership, and it's been pretty consistent. John likes to walk around saying he's just a plumber, but right now he's just a plumber who's bringing a business acumen to the table, and it's disappointing that he's the only one doing it. So, on that note, it has been a lovely, what is this, almost 40 minutes or so. Let's do this again soon. To quote Mr. Ryan DeZoglio, good night, Methuen.